Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. I am your host, Dave Shumate, reacting to the Jimmy V Classic tonight, folks. Arkansas getting the 89-87 win over Michigan. And boy, man, whatever you want to call it, did they need that one. That was really Arkansas's last real opportunity to get a big non-conference win before we hit conference play. And they started off at the Food Center. There's the former Thompson-Boling Arena in Tennessee. So they needed a big win. Again, they got UTS, they got Central Arkansas and North Carolina A&T, and then Oakland left. So yeah, this was Arkansas's last big opportunity to get a big non-conference win, and they definitely got it and needed it. We'll also discuss Tennessee getting the 75-62 win in the Jimmy V Classic, the early game before that. But guys, before we get started here, Prize Picks. This reaction is presented by our buddies over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com and use code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup, guys. So many fun prop bets. I entertained it a decent bit. Probably not as much as I needed to this past year, but man, if you're really entertaining it into, I always tell the story when I'm dropping the advertisement here of the Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors big prop bet I won 2 years ago on it. So I highly encourage you to go in there and get that done, guys. But let's get right to it. Let's share the screen here for you. Let me put up the box score. Let's pull up the first one, the big one that came down to the wire. A real back and forth game overall here, folks. Again, Arkansas getting the 89-87 win. I mean, this game was wild back and forth. Michigan came out firing. This is a good Michigan team. It's a good Michigan team Dusty May has. Namari Burnett used to beat Alabama. Sam Walters. They have Trey Donaldson from Auburn. I mean, obviously the Wolf kid's a pretty good player. Vlad Golden's a good player from FAU as well. 2 former FAU players involved in this game. But this game was back and forth. Michigan came out firing. Arkansas had a big last 10 minutes of the first half. Finished strong with under the last 4 minutes of that first half. In the second half, we had an 18-point lead and just lost it. Just came out of nowhere, just blew a big lead, let Michigan get back into it. Obviously, came down to a last shot. Arkansas shoots 50% from the field. Michigan, as you can see, shoots 57% from the field. Arkansas 39%, Michigan 44%. Free throw line, both teams would like to see improvements. Let's call a spade here. Michigan at 61%, Arkansas at 63%. Rebounds, pretty much the same. Arkansas out-rebounded them 34-32. Assists were fine. Turnovers, around 17, 14, not good, not great at all. 17, way too. Both these staffs would tell you, Dusty May and John Calipari both tell you way too many. Way too many. I agree. 14 you can deal with at times. But I thought the offense was there for Arkansas, really. I thought it was, again, they didn't look great at times, but there were other times where you're like, that's the team we thought we could see at the beginning of the year. It was kind of like the tail of their whole season a little bit. Maybe that's an extreme because I don't think Arkansas looked that great this year. My power rankings, I had them at 14th today. It's just not any really quality win. I mean, even Oklahoma's got some quality wins. Missouri obviously has some quality wins. So I think when people see these rankings sometimes they're like, why are we 12th or 13th? Well, somebody has to be in because it's the best, potentially the best basketball conference in the last 20 years, going back to the 2011 Big East that year Kimball Walker and them and UConn won it all. But no, Arkansas, phenomenal win. They needed this one. They really did. Wasn't a must-have. I asked David from Hoop Southbound on the live show Dave talked about earlier if it was a must-have for Arkansas. He said no, which I agree with. It's way too early in the season. You're going to have a lot of quad one opportunities in this league this year. As I previously mentioned, it's the best league in basketball by far, not even a debate. They're going to have other opportunities, but at least you have this win against Michigan to hang your hat on in the non-con play. So you got to give them credit there. Again, you see it. Both teams, Arkansas had an 18-point lead at one point. Michigan, the first half, a 15-point lead. Let's go check out the box score. Go shine some light on some players here. I mean, Arkansas had some guys step up in the scoring department there. Adu Thero, 13. He's kind of been the glue guy this year. Jonas Adu, 11 points, 7 boards. Boogie Flan, 20 points, looked good. Nelly Davis, like to see him finish a little better. DJ Wagner made some shots there. I like Big Z, guys. Arkansas fans, you may disagree with him, but he's a defensive liability. He is Golden Wolf. Those 2 7-footers from Michigan can take advantage of him. And I thought Trevin Brazil, again, missed the 2 free throws late, but had the big rejection, the big shot, the block shot late. 15 points, 6 boards, 1 block. I thought Jonas Adu and Trev and Brazil were pretty good in this one. I'll be honest with you. And obviously, Boogie Flan. This is what you wanted to see from Arkansas. Again, was it ugly at the end? Did they miss some free throws? Yes. But they needed this one in the worst way. Again, I heard Jay Billis talking about it on the show. Like, why for the first 18 minutes of half do we just totally not give a crap about getting the ball, getting the out of bounds call right? But then for the last 2 minutes of each half, we'll go review everything and cross our T's, dot our I's. It's almost like he said in the NBA, give them a challenge or something. Like, either we're going to do it for all of them, and I understand you can't review that. Just like in baseball, we couldn't review every ball and strike, or we'd be there forever. But why are the last 2 minutes so slow? I get the fouls. Everybody knows that. My wife could tell you the fouls slow down college basketball, which that's a part of the sport. It's always reviewing the last 2 minutes, and I'm glad they do get it right. But I feel like we could be a little bit more efficient with the time a little bit. I mean, that game went 2.5 hours there, but it was a fun one. It was a fun night of basketball, the nightcap right there. I'd love to see what Cal saying in his post game, and even Dusty May. But we reacted pretty quick to this game. I also thought across the board, when both teams had opportunities to pull away, and they were pulling away, just nobody could really put the gas on them, man. Nobody could put their foot on their throat and just clamp down. Good game, though. Yeah, it was a good game, though. Glad Arkansas got the win there. I do think that's a potential NCAA. I think that is an NCAA tournament team for Michigan across the board. I mean, the way these conferences, the expansion now, I mean, you're going to have most of these at-large bids now go to the Big Ten and SEC. I mean, it makes sense. They're adding teams. You remember the Pac-12 used to get, 3 to 4 teams, depending how good the league ultimately was. But I think Michigan's going to be in that conversation too. Good basketball team. Yeah, but big win, especially over another Big Ten team. Arkansas dropped one to Illinois. On Thanksgiving Day? Yeah, it was Thanksgiving Day in Kansas City. Illinois gets a big win over Wisconsin tonight. That only helps Alabama's light right there. But let's get into a little bit of the comments. Chad J. Heinze, Helenze, pronounce it for me in there if you're still in the comments. Appreciate you listening, brother. Big win for the Hogs. Congrats. SEC runs college basketball. No doubt. I got asked today, wasn't on a show or anything. Somebody texted me, dude, what do I think is deeper, the SEC in football or basketball? I was like, it's basketball, and I don't even think it's close. But yeah, legitimately, I mean, I have Missouri and Oklahoma fans mad that I have them in the power rankings at 9th and 11th. And you ask, who would you like to be in front of? And you can't get an answer. Just like I'm sure I'll get hell for where I had Arkansas going into this one. But before this game, what was your big win? Didn't really have any. Probably would have lost to Miami if Miami shot the way they did tonight against Tennessee. We'll talk about that one in a little bit. Old Cisco, Tyler Siskey, baby. He's in there. Dave, appreciate you listening, Cisco. Chad back. Bama has been a turnover machine so far. Hopefully they get that cleaned up before conference play starts. Agree. I got asked by Cole today on Texas Sports Unfiltered why I had Bama at 4. I had them at 5 last week. Yeah, the turnovers. I mean, again, the way Alabama and NATO play, if they can keep turnovers within 10 to 12 a game, again, they play so up-tempo, so fast, get so many shots off, they're going to have more turnovers than most teams. And I think Nate understands that. He accepts it. They ever keep it to 10 to 12 a game like they would do sometimes in 22, 23, they're almost unbeatable at times. They're almost unbeatable. So you're right. I totally agree with you, Chad. If Bama's issue is the turnovers, defense has improved, probably not to the level we thought it would be. They're going to score with or without most guys most night. I mean, again, they always put 100 in the Dean Dome the other night. But really, you're right. 100% turnovers. And Siskey again, baby. TV has to fit that 2-hour window. Yeah, you're right. But, yeah, the challenge, the last 2 minutes always takes it over the dang window. That's it, really, from the Arkansas Michigan game. Arkansas needed this. Didn't have to have it because there are going to be so many opportunities, like I mentioned. But they really needed this. Taylor Roberts, don't want to jump the gun. Most complete game we played since that Kansas scrimmage. Agree. Finally somewhat healthy, and we looked a lot better. It's a good point there. I remember going back and watching that exhibition. You're right as well, right before the season started. That's what it did look like. This is maybe a swing game for them. Right before conference play starts, get some 3 warm-ups in, and then you go do you open up with the Tommy Bowl against currently the number 1 team in the country. I remember, folks, 5 out of the top 9 teams in the AP poll are from the Southeastern Conference. It really is unbelievable. But Arkansas gets the 89-87 win over Michigan. Next, I brought it up. Tennessee, let's bring up the box score for another visual, gets the 75-62 win over Miami. Miami just on that struggle bus this year. And I like Jim Larinaga in there. They're just on the struggle bus this year for whatever reason. I actually thought they played decent tonight, honestly. They would have played like they did tonight, they would have beat Arkansas in the ACC SEC Challenge. But again, Tennessee gets the 75-62 win. Let's look at the team stats real fast. Tennessee shot 48% from the field. Miami 39. Both teams came out, like I said, hot. Don't want the 24% again. That's for the total. But the first half, I thought both teams shot well. Tennessee shot 40% from three, as I just mentioned. Miami sitting there at 24.2%. Obviously, Michigan would like to get the 60%. They only shot 10 free throws. Interesting. 83% from Tennessee. Rebounds are the same, 35-33, an advantage of the Volunteers. Turnovers 14-11. The Vols are +3 in turnover margin. Largest lead 18, and Miami had a 1-point lead in the first half at that point. I mean, really, there's really not a lot to say. Chaz Lanier, the North Florida transfer, again, is its non-conference play wraps up. We're going to stop saying the transfer. He's a Tennessee Volunteer now. 22 points. I think you saw Rick Barnes postgame say they wanted him to start moving without the ball more. I think at North Florida, obviously, there's going to be adjustment. The length at this level is a lot more. The just kind of the mass these defensive players play with now. The speed, obviously, a lot different than he saw when he was in Osprey at North Florida. So I think it's taken him a while to adjust. Man, nobody's going to be Dalton Connect. Nobody's going to step up and be the guy. It's unfair expectations to Chaz Lanier. But I think it's an overall offense. It keeps everybody more engaged. It keeps everybody a little bit more engaged across the board, where it can make this offense overall better. I mean, you saw last year, sometimes they just hand the ball to Dalton Connect and, hey, go make a play, Dalton. I think it would keep guys like Santiago Vescovi on their toes and make them very uncomfortable because they didn't know how many shots they were going to get off. Because usually late in the shot clock when they needed a bucket, which I get, we see how he's playing in Los Angeles with the Lakers, and he was the SEC Player of the Year last year. Dalton Connect was a bucket last year. I understand that, but I don't think it didn't allow other offensive players to lock in at times. And when he was off, everybody else kind of struggled. But I'll say this. I tweeted about it. Igor Milicic, the Charlotte transfer, is the straw. I shouldn't say this. I think Zakai Ziegler is the straw that stirs the Volunteer drink. Igor Milicic is the ceiling setter. How well he plays is going to set this Tennessee ceiling. It is. Again, I think Tennessee deserves to be the number one team in the country. I actually think Auburn's probably still the best team. I just want to see Tennessee continue to get better when they need a bucket in a close game. Who do they end up going to? Who is that? I don't feel like we know that yet. Again, we're about to be done with non-conference play. Now, Tennessee does have an epic matchup on Saturday. They go to Champaign. They play Illinois. That's going to be a big game. Illinois beat Wisconsin tonight. They beat Arkansas, Kansas City a couple weeks ago. They did drop one to Alabama and Birmingham, which, I think Alabama's a national title contender, so that's nothing to put your nose up in the air to. It's essentially an away game in Birmingham. There's actually a lot of Illinois people there ready to win. I went to that game that night. Drove from Atlanta and got back at like 3 a.m. But Igor Milicic went for 16, 6 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5, 9 rebounds. Again, he sets the ceiling. How good he is determines if Tennessee ultimately will go to the Final Four and be in San Antonio in April. Seriously, Zakai Ziegler, I feel like we know what we're going to get with him. He's the captain. He sets the goals. He holds the standard. But this Tennessee offense cannot go as Zakai Ziegler. That can't be carried. I know Rick Barnes and them, Hall of Famer. That's not the plan. You just don't want them locked into that. You saw a little bit of that in their Indiana exhibition. We mentioned it earlier. We talked about Arkansas beating Kansas. Maybe that's a springboard. I remember the exhibition against Indiana. It kind of was like Zakai Ziegler, just go make some shots, make some plays. You don't want to see that, and we haven't seen that in the regular season yet. That's why they're sitting there at 9-0. Jemai Mashack, 7 points. Off the bench, Cade Phillips, 9 points. You probably want to see a little bit more rebounding at him. 1 rebound. You're going to want a little more with that, especially with J.P. Estrella being injured. Remember, Tennessee only had 8 scholarship players really available. Only 7 played. They're banged up. They're banged up across the board. But Tennessee gets a good win. I thought Miami actually didn't play that bad in the first half. You saw 38-25. Seemed a little closer than that, honestly. Seemed closer than an 8-point game. Miami, I think if they would have played like this at home last week against Arkansas, like I mentioned, I think they win this game. Nigel Pack did some things for him, 12 points. Lynn Kidd, 12. It's just Jim Larinaga squad. They're just not going to be very good in a very weak ACC. You're 3-7 non-con. You're not going to go get a bunch of quad 1 wins in the ACC this year. I don't know. I don't feel good about the Canes making the NCAA tournament there. That was a Final Four team 2 years ago. But Felix Apara, he's doing his thing, 0 points, but you'll take some of the rebounds. They got to get healthy. Again, I'm still not totally sold Tennessee is the best team in the country right now. Yes, they're undefeated. I want to see how they handle Champaign. I want to see how they handle – and again, I'm not going to judge them too hard because they are banged up. Remember, they only had 8 scholarship available players 2-day when they played. Only played 7. So nothing to get too worked up about. But I thought Tennessee was a good performance, guys. Really did. I like the performance from Tennessee. Just a really good basketball league, guys. Really good basketball league. Let's check out Tennessee's remaining non-conference schedule before, like I mentioned, they do play both these teams tonight from the SEC. They open up with one another in Thompson-Boling Arena on Saturday, January 4th. So at Illinois, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, Norfolk State. So yeah, you beat Illinois on Saturday, you're rolling into conference play undefeated. So it is what it is, folks. Kind of is what it is from that perspective. But we had a phenomenal night. It was a fun game. It was a fun late game. That was a fun late tip game in the Arkansas-Michigan game. A lot of good players. There a lot of familiarity in the SEC from the Michigan players. Trey Donaldson came from Auburn. Namari Burnett was on the 22-23 Alabama #1 overall seed team with Brandon Miller, really good defender. And then you had Sam Walters, who was a spot up 3, kind of role player for Alabama last year, understood his role from the Village, Florida. But Dusty May's got a good team over there. I think they'll make the NCAA tournament. It was a fun night, though. Sloppy at times, but, Arkansas needed it. They needed that. Maybe it's a springboard win. I think Taylor Roberts made a phenomenal point. That's the best they've looked since that exhibition against Kansas. So, obviously, certainly, that's the best they've looked all regular season, folks. But I'm not going to last too much longer, guys. Get on here, recap this. Appreciate you guys. Again, I'm your host, Dave Shumate, the head SEC Unfiltered Basketball Analyst, guys. Again, go like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. The race to 20,000 subscribers is here. Let's try to get it before the college football playoff comes around, guys. Again, the SEC Unfiltered channel, the best SEC content around for football, basketball, and baseball. Remember, folks, this reaction is brought to you by our buddies over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com and use code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup, guys. So, guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I will see you after the next reaction. You have a phenomenal evening.